Today, we're diving into a pivotal chapter in the life of a truly remarkable figure, Nathaniel Bowditch. But we're not starting with some grand intellectual triumph. No, we're starting with a moment of absolute, crushing heartbreak. This is a story about a self-taught navigator whose genius was about to be tested, not just by the sea, but by personal tragedy and a brand new, perilous mission.
Imagine this. You're Nathaniel Bowditch. You've just returned home to Salem from a long voyage, and maybe you're expecting a hero's welcome, but instead, you're hit with these words. Devastating, right? They're spoken by Mary, the brand new widow of his best friend, David.
You have to understand, Nat is just completely heartbroken. While he was away charting the oceans, a fever swept through his friend David's ship, and it took the entire crew. So now Nat is back home, facing Mary, and he's just crushed by this feeling that he's somehow responsible for the love and now the loss that he helped create.
But then, the conversation takes a turn he could have never seen coming. Mary isn't blaming him. Not at all. In fact, she thanks him. She tells him that because he brought them together, she got to experience this deep, true happiness with David for the time they had. It's just this incredible moment of grace in the middle of so much pain.
So, as Nat is sharing stories about his voyage with Mary, trying to offer some comfort, a visitor shows up. It's a young woman named Elizabeth Boardman. And in that sad, quiet room, her violet eyes just glowed when she saw him. It's a tiny detail, right? But it's so important. It's like a little seed being planted, hinting that even with all this grief, a new story might just be starting for Nat.
But, life doesn't wait. Personal feelings have to be put on hold. A few days later, Nat gets called in by his boss, the powerful merchant Mr. Darby. There's a new challenge on the horizon, and this one is going to take him farther than he has ever gone before.
The ship is called the Estrella. And listen, this isn't just another cargo run. This is a mission, a high-stakes, high-prestige journey meant to put the port of Salem, Massachusetts on the global map.
You can just feel the ambition coming from Mr. Darby. He wants the Estrella to make history. We're talking about sailing halfway around the world to the Philippines. Now, for Nat, this is an unbelievable opportunity, but it's also packed with risk, especially with all the tension with France brewing on the high seas.
And if you want to know just how much risk we're talking about, it all comes down to one number, 19. The Estrella was armed with 19 cannons. This was no simple merchant vessel. No, this ship was armed for war. And for good reason. The threat of French privateers was very, very real.
So yeah, the stakes are absolutely through the roof, both for his career and for his personal life. As Nat gets ready for this incredibly dangerous voyage, all these new problems start popping up, testing him before he even steps foot on the ship. And here's the crazy part, a real twist of irony. Nat's own success is his first big problem. See, he's such a good teacher that 4 of his best guys, men he trained himself, just got promoted to other ships. And their replacement? A guy named Lem Harvey. Now, Harvey knows his cannons, no doubt about it. But he's also known for being a huge troublemaker.
Right before the ship is about to leave, there's this really intense moment with Elizabeth. She's seen those 19 cannons on the Estrella, and she is just terrified for him. And in this sudden emotional impulse, she stands up on her toes, kisses him right there, and then just runs back into her house. She leaves Nat completely stunned in the middle of the street.
Okay, so now they're out on the open ocean, and everything changes. The focus is 100% on survival. Captain Prince puts the fearsome Lem Harvey in charge of gunnery training, and the brutal, dirty work of turning sailors into soldiers begins.
And that was basically Harvey's whole philosophy. He wasn't there to make friends. He was there to get results. He was going to forge this crew into a lean, mean fighting machine, whether they liked it or not.
Day in and day out, Harvey's voice just echoes across the deck. He's screaming at them, calling them thumb-fingered fools, mocking every little mistake. He just roars and curses and bullies them through the drill. Cast loose! Run out! Prime! Over and over, relentlessly, until this complicated 6-step process becomes one single, fluid, and very deadly motion.
All right, so after what feels like an eternity at sea practicing these drills, they finally make a stopover in Funchal on the Madeira Islands. And it's here, at this very civilized, fancy dinner party, that we get to see a totally different kind of firepower, the kind that's stored inside Nathaniel Bowditch's incredible mind.
So they're at this dinner, right? And the host, a Mrs. Pintard, finds out that Nat's a math whiz. She's delighted and decides to give him this financial puzzle that's been bugging her. It's this super complex calculation about an inheritance that's been moving between countries and gaining interest for years.
And I want to be super clear here. This is not your average math problem. We're talking compound interest, different currencies, and a time span of over 5 years. I mean, everyone at that dinner table just assumes this is going to take hours of work with lots of pen and paper.
Her husband even chimes in, like, hey, after dinner, you can write it all down for him. He figures Nat can take it home so he doesn't have to waste his evening over figures. Oh boy, they have no idea what they are about to see.
But Nat, he doesn't do any of that. He doesn't grab a pen, he doesn't ask for paper, he just puts down his knife and fork and stares into the candle flame. The room goes quiet. The captain checks his watch. About 2 minutes go by.
And then, just like that, he speaks. He calmly says the answer, 843 pounds, 15 shillings, and 6 1/4 pence. And then he just moves on, asking the host to continue a story she was telling. Mrs. Pintard is absolutely stunned. She gasps and says, but that's right, to the last fraction.
And while everyone else's jaw is on the floor, Captain Prince, who's seen this kind of thing from Nat before, is just sitting there with this little grin. His comment just perfectly cuts through the amazement in the room. In 2 minutes, with nothing but his own brain, Nat solved a problem that would take most people all night.
I mean, what an incredible feat, right? It just shows you the raw power of Nat's mind. But the story leaves us with this really interesting question. Because as he's sitting there, he thinks about who he'll tell this story to when he gets home. And his mind doesn't just go to his family. It goes straight to Elizabeth. So it leaves you wondering, can a man who can calculate compound interest in his head also figure out the much, much trickier math of the human heart?